It is the final home game for the Ottawa Senators. It is once again the biggest game of the season. Just 3 remain. And that masked man, Hammond, what a story he's been. 17-1-2, a .939 save percentage, and a big reason why Ottawa is making this push. Meantime, Marc-Andre Fleury actually has been very solid in net for the Pittsburgh Penguins, looking for win number 34. As we bring you inside our studios once again, hi everybody, I'm Brian Mudryk. The panel, of course, is Bob, Dave, and Marty. And guys, when you talk about both the Penguins and the Ottawa Senators, these are certainly two teams going in opposite directions the last few months. You go back to Christmas time, and the Pittsburgh Penguins were the top team in the Eastern Conference. They've slowly been going downhill ever since. Meantime, the Ottawa Senators at 1 point, 14 points back of the Boston Bruins going in tonight, just 2 points back of a playoff spot, but basically with 3 games remaining, they have to win out, and they need a little bit of help. Ottawa should be rocking tonight. Let's go to the guys that'll call the game, Chris and Ray.
Brian, it's the last game for Ottawa against a team they can catch in the standings to make the playoffs, and both teams feel the urgency tonight, Ray. Both teams looking for difference makers, and maybe from a star player who's been in a slump. For Ottawa, Bobby Ryan. For Pittsburgh, Evgeny Malkin.
Well, Malkin returned on Saturday against the Philadelphia Flyers. He's missed 8 of the previous 11 games, and he was fantastic. He said he got a little tired towards the end of the game, ran out of gas a little bit, but he hit a goal post. He set up Blake Comeau a couple of times and had 3 really good scoring chances. With Malkin out of the lineup, who's going to replace a player like that? The Penguins have been dormant offensively, and they'll welcome him back to the fold. Bobby Ryan, on the other hand, has 4 goals in his last 30 games dating back to the 1st of February. Yet it seems to be that he's starting to create a little more offensively. Against Washington, he created a power play goal for Zibanejad. That's a goal from earlier in the year. Dave Cameron talked to him yesterday and said, at the end of the day, it's still a game. There needs to be some happiness in your game. Relax, smile a little bit. You don't need to carry the team by yourself. And the Senators have had this fabulous run, Chris, but they need Bobby Ryan on board and to produce for them to make this final push.
And they need a win over Pittsburgh. The Penguins have won the first 2 meetings of the year, and the Penguins have won 6 of the last 8 against Ottawa. Brian?
Gentlemen, thank you. Here's a look at that race. Of course, Boston, Pittsburgh, Detroit with playoff spots right now. Ottawa on the outside looking in. All 3 teams have 3 games remaining. And, of course, the bad news if you're a Senators fan is that the Sens do not hold the tiebreaker against any of those teams. So they need more points than them at the end of the day if they want to find their way into the playoffs. So time to dissect this game. This Hammond kid, think it's a good idea to give him the start tonight, Marty?
I'm not sure, but I think that what he did in the first period against Toronto the other night is 21 saves on 22 shots, and he has to set the tone again for the Ottawa Senators, especially against the Pittsburgh Penguins that have been struggling offensively. He's got to make the saves. I hope for the Ottawa Senators it's not 22 shots against, but he's got to make the saves, especially in the first.
Well, the Kyle Turris line has done a lot of the scoring, but the line of J.G. Pajot, Eric Condra, and Curtis Lazar has been really, really good. They skate, they're smart, they support each other, they've been chipping in offensively. Most important, Dave Cameron can play them against anyone, and that is huge for him right now.
Pittsburgh Penguins situation, well documented, very simple to understand. Win the hockey game and they're in the playoffs, lose and they're still on the verge of the most epic collapse in franchise history. You can talk about the injuries, Ehrhoff, Letang, Olli Mata on defense, absolutely that's it. But when you've got Malkin in the lineup and you've got Crosby, and over the last 12 or 13 games, you are the lowest scoring team in the National Hockey League, you got to take a page out of the Winnipeg Jet book and find a way to get her done.
These are the situations where usually your best player and your captain steps up. We'll see if Sidney Crosby can indeed do that. He's also trying to win the points race in the NHL this year. However, who eats a hamburger when you have a McFlurry? Great sign. Great game coming up next.
Canadian Tire Senators Hockey on TSN is brought to you by Bell. Hockey just got better. By Molson Canadian, diehard fan and proud partner of the Ottawa Senators. And by Scotiabank. You're richer than you think. Scotiabank.
Playoff rivals 2 years ago, neither Ottawa or Pittsburgh have secured a spot yet, as the Senators play their final home game of the regular season tonight at the Canadian Tire Centre. Our starting goaltenders brought to you by Scotiabank. You're richer than you think. Scotiabank, Marc-Andre Fleury tied with Carey Price for the league lead. With 9 shutouts, Andrew Hammond will face Pittsburgh for the first time. Just 1 regulation loss in his first 20 starts. So it's Fleury against Hammond tonight in Ottawa.
Kyle Turris has had a fantastic second half, Chris, for the Senators after a pretty sluggish start. Like many of his teammates, his game has started to kick into high gear since the start of the year. Turris and Mark Stone have been fantastic together, and with the reintroduction of Clark MacArthur onto Turris's left side, the Senators have a dangerous first line that's carried them over the past 10 games.
Turris with 6 goals in his last 10 games. Dave Cameron told us this morning, likely to be matched up throughout this game against Crosby. That's the way they start. Sidney Crosby along with Patrick Hornquist. Crosby to work, scores! Sidney Crosby 10 seconds in.
Oh my, what a start for both the Penguins and the Senators. The Senators win the face-off and try a quick up through the middle of the ice. Stone is going to try and seep through the middle of the ice, but it's intercepted by Paul Martin. With Winnick driving the middle lane, that allows some room for Hornquist to find Sidney Crosby. Crosby doesn't take many slappers. This one goes right through Andrew Hammond. And the Penguins quickly on the board at the 10-second mark.
Well, we'll see if that matchup continues. Crosby has his 28th. 18 of them have come on the road. And now with 4 goals in his last 6 games. So that, for the time being, quiets the crowd. Zibanejad checks in. He's out there along with Conger right now. And Curtis Lazar's got the puck. Different look here for Dave Cameron, and Lazar gets it to Zibanejad, back to the point, and it comes across to Carlson. Couldn't handle it. Back the other way. It's Chris Kunitz down the left flank, and Hammond's got that. And we'll hold on a shaky opening minute here for the home side in Ottawa.
Chris Kunitz gets a real good scoring chance, but we'll look at the goal again. Watch Mark Stone. He's out wide now. He's going to dive through the middle of the ice. They're trying a misdirection where Turris cuts outside, Stone cuts inside. The puck's turned over, and a really quick up from Martin to Hornquist, and Crosby's shot goes right through Andrew Hammond, and the Penguins with an early lead that put the Senators behind the 8 ball, chasing the game early.
Crosby back out there, won the draw, took a shot from behind the goal line, off the side of the net, to now Stone gets Ottawa pointed in the right direction, flipping it in. Mark MacArthur out there along with Stone and Turris, shoulder to shoulder there with Lovejoy, puck along the boards, and Winnick moves out. So Daniel Winnick elevated in the lineup for Mike Johnston on this line with Crosby and Hornquist, and Winnick does some work in behind the net, jostling there with Clark MacArthur. Trying to center, he'll play it back to the point, and it comes across from Martin. His shot knocked down in front. Hornquist with a weak backhand, stopped by Hammond. Hornquist stays on it. Borowiecki works him over. Penguins move it back to the point, and Martin will send it back in. Nick Spaulding out there now, and a shot that whistles wide of the net. Spaulding retrieves it, and Ottawa finally works it out to center. A couple tough shifts for the Turris line as we approach the 2-minute mark, and a little jostling in front of the Ottawa bench.
Patrick Hornquist and David Legwand, old teammates from Nashville, having a little conversation here on the bench. Hornquist wasn't thrilled with the hit from Mark Stone, but the Penguins have a start that mirrors what they did in Philadelphia on Saturday afternoon, and it's important for Ottawa to show this resiliency that they have had throughout this run of 28 games. There's the Stone hit on Lovejoy. But the Senators, several times, they seem to take a step back, yet they find a way to fight their way out of the hole. They did it after they lost to the Rangers here. They're going to have to do it again tonight.
Pajot centering Mike Hoffman and Bobby Ryan. So we've seen a lineup adjustment for Dave Cameron to start this game. Pajot and Zibanejad flipping spots. Weirkosh stepped up, puck gets by him, and the Penguins will move it down the ice. You mentioned the quick start in Philadelphia by Pittsburgh on the shot clock. There have been 5 games this season in which a team has registered 22 first-period shots. Pittsburgh did it Sunday against Philadelphia, and Toronto did it against Ottawa on Sunday night. Senators looking for a better start here than that tonight.
Chris, sorry, the flip-flop of centerman is that Zibanejad is going to play against Evgeny Malkin, at least to start. They want the big body of Zibanejad against Malkin, and so they have Lazar and Condra, more defensive-minded players with Zibanejad. We'll see how long that lasts.
Puck sent to center and then played back in. And back to retrieve Mathot. He'll fire it around. Gets past Kunitz, and out comes Zibanejad. He'll flip it in. Dave Cameron talked about the challenge it would be for a good young rising star like Zibanejad against an established power forward like Malkin. Turn back into the Pittsburgh zone. Condra with a shot that's blocked, and it's steered back to center ice.
I would suspect that both Cameron and Johnston will make some adjustments through the night as the games are just of too much importance. If somebody's not going, they've got to make a gut feel change and see how the line matchups work early on.
Zach Smith plays it back to the defense. Now it's Craig Adams flipping it in, and Borowiecki in retreat for Ottawa to his defensive partner Krivop. Up on the right side, Legwand flipping it toward the Pittsburgh line, and now Ottawa gains access. Here is a backhand shot, and Fleury's first stop. It's a tough one on a backhand chance by the veteran David Legwand.
Fleury had to fight off this backhander from Legwand, and he had the night off or the afternoon off rather, in Philadelphia on the weekend after playing the day before, and this almost squeaks between the pads of Marc-Andre Fleury, and Legwand just wants to shovel this to the net. It turns out to be a difficult stop for Fleury, who has had a very good year for the Penguins, but in the last 10 games he's given up 30 goals, and like many of the Penguins has struggled to find his game. About a month ago, the Penguins were the 4th best defensive team in the league. Now they sit 10th. And while they haven't scored, they haven't defended very well either.
Remarkable how they have struggled scoring as well. And now are 18th in the league in that department. Since the trade deadline, only Arizona has scored fewer goals. Mathot sends it back in. Fleury unable to stop it up. Crosby will play it back. Then Lovejoy off the right side. Hornquist got hit, but away goes Winnick. Daniel Winnick drops for Crosby. Lost the handle as Mark Stone takes it away. Outlets to Carlson. Carlson with a lead feed, toes in, and lost the handle. Not sure whether he was in the act of shooting or trying to dish it to MacArthur. Either way, it didn't work. Bo Bennett plays it in behind the net. Rob Scuderi moves up. That's cut off, and it'll be cleared out by Ryan. Dispatched back in to Ottawa territory by Ian Cole. Here's Brandon Sutter swinging it back deep. Bo Bennett, the California native, in behind the net, being watched by Pajot. Now to help out David Perron, who was playing on a line with Crosby. He's moved down, now moving in, and check. Cole will keep it in. Ian Cole passing, scores! Hammered down, and Pittsburgh has a 2-0 lead.
You see Hammond holding onto the back of the head. There was a collision in the crease. Bo Bennett, with his first goal in 30 games, has given the Penguins a 2-0 lead. This play starts on the sidewall. David Perron loses Carlson on the boards, and when he goes to the front of the net, Sutter gets to the front of the net. Now there's going to be a loss of the puck, and you see Hammond drive out of the net trying to find the puck. He runs into the back of Brandon Sutter. Sutter's just at the top of the crease, and when the puck's turned over, Sutter, Wierkosh, and Hammond collide, and Bo Bennett takes the Ian Cole pass and makes it 2-0. Points in 5 straight for Cole.
And Bennett with his 4th goal of the year. Now Malkin on the prowl, drops it to Scuderi. He'll walk in, shot it wide of the net, off the stick of Condra. Senators on their heels. Como on the forecheck. And now Lazar along the wall, and Curtis Lazar unable to get it out. Sent back deep by Kunitz. So at the 10-second mark, Crosby. At 5:16, it's Bennett. And it's 2-0 Penguins. Crosby out there again. Ian Cole steps up. Former St. Louis Blue, as you mentioned, Ray, has been productive of late. Crosby with that backhand pass to the line, and it will come out. Senators in the midst of a change. Hornquist back in. Hornquist to the net, and he just rolled that wide. Winnick on the doorstep. Another try. Bad angle shot. And Pittsburgh swarming the Ottawa zone at the moment. And Hornquist checks Condra. They keep it in again. And a hot shot into the glove of Hammond. He'll hold on. And Ottawa gets a much-needed break on the TV timeout. Hot start for the Penguins. Our keys to the game tonight brought to you by Tim Hortons, the official coffee of the NHL.
Now, these are done before the game, and my thought was the Senators can't think defend only. And you see what happens. They're back on their heels. You're trying to defend. You're trying to push the Penguins' offense away, and the onslaught gets too heavy for you. They have to get up on their toes. And for the Penguins, it's shoot and attack the rebounds that are going to be there. We've seen Crosby shoot one that went through Hammond, and then a couple of shots, a couple of rebounds. The traffic from Sutter leads to Bo Bennett's goal, and the Senators 7 minutes in are down a couple of goals.
Well, during this terrific run, Ray, when Ottawa's been on its game, it's the forecheck, it's the pace of the game being controlled by them. Let's see if they can get a handle on that after Pittsburgh's taken that away in the opening 5 minutes. Chiasson behind the net along with Zach Smith, the fourth line out to try and create some momentum. Here's Greiba sending it wide of the net. Borowiecki steps up. Borowiecki in deep, up against David Perron, who outlets to the line, and it comes out to center. Shots are 7-1 here in the opening 7 minutes and change. Mark Methot back in his own zone. Kunitz on the forecheck. Senators are moving ahead. Here's Stone. Turris loose. Turris in. Fires and whistled that one wide. Ricochets all the way up to center. Knocked away from Malkin by Carlson. Back into the Pittsburgh zone. Evgeny Malkin without a goal in his last 7. And is battling through injury, so his last goal marks the 6th.
Virtually impossible to replace when he's out of the lineup. The Penguins look like a different team against the Flyers with Malkin in the lineup, and Mike Johnston has certainly more weapons to deploy with Malkin in the lineup, but without Malkin, without Letang, without Ehrhoff, there's just no way that they're going to score at the rate that they were previously, and they've tried really hard to insulate a defense that, as Bob mentioned in the opening, doesn't have Olli Mata as well. So they're missing 3 of their top 4 defensemen. They've really tried to help their defense out, and as a result, they don't score anymore either. So this has been a terrific start for the Penguins.
Here's a giveaway and a shot. Fleury stopped that. Hoffman took a whack at the rebound after the initial save off the Bobby Ryan shot. Now a penalty. And the Senators will get the first power play of the night.
Well, the other night against Philadelphia, they were out shooting the Flyers 19-2, and Daniel Winnick took a penalty. They gave up a power play goal. Tonight, the Penguins up 2-0, 7-2 shot advantage, and Max Lapierre goes to the penalty box. And now the Senators' power play gets a crack to get them back in the game. There's the penalty as Lapierre is just trying to lift Pajot's stick. Nonetheless, he clips him on the visor. Lapierre sits, and the Senators' power play gets a chance to continue their recent hot streak.
Pair of power play goals in each of the last 2 games. Weirkosh and Carlson. Stone had trouble with that pass. And Pittsburgh will send it back down into the Ottawa zone. Penguins, the 5th best penalty kill unit in the league, but were touched up for 3 in the loss in Philadelphia on Sunday. Here's Wierkosh sifting a shot through, stopped by Fleury. He goes after the rebound, and Winnick will shovel that out on the backhand.
That's a good clear for Winnick. It's not an easy play. He's on his backhand and squeezed on the boards. But the Senators can look to try and get a little bit of momentum from their power play here, get some zone time and some pucks to the net.
Ryan drops, Carlson moves in, he shoots! Fleury the stop, a rebound, and it's back up top for Erik Karlsson. And Legwand returns to Karlsson. 6 power play goals for Karlsson and Legwand to lead Ottawa in that department. Hoffman no shot, chased back by Spaulding. Karlsson surveys, Legwand shot blocked. Cole Martin there, sent to the far side. Hoffman can't control it, and the puck will be cleared. 40 seconds left in the penalty to Lapierre. Highest scoring defenseman in the league, Karlsson. A pass into the skates of Ryan, couldn't control, and Pittsburgh will turn them back again. Couple dozen seconds remaining in the Lapierre penalty. Here's Wierkosh to the line, and that pass broken up by Sutter off his stick and into the bench.
Rick Tocchet, a pretty good power forward in his day, flipping the puck over the glass. Here's the Senators' most dangerous chance. Karlsson head up the whole way. He's looking for Bobby Ryan for the slap pass, and Ryan's deflection catches Fleury high up on the arm. This is a really dangerous play. Marc-Andre Fleury with the stop on a beautiful shot from Karlsson, tipped dangerously by Bobby Ryan.
Mark MacArthur swings it in. Late stages of this first power play. Pass picked off, and it'll be cleared. That'll do it. 2 shots, but no breakthrough. As Lapierre hits to the bench, Crosby with the steal. Crosby into the high slot. Hornquist, a backhand that is blocked, and away goes Turris. Turris hits north into the Pittsburgh zone. Trying to get around Ben Lovejoy to the point, and that doesn't reach the intended target. Crosby back the other way. Sidney Crosby with 3 goals in his 2 visits to Ottawa this season. Mark Stone, good feed. Away goes Mathot. He's got Zach Smith with him in front and vacuumed up. Good glove stop by Fleury on the pass intended for Zach Smith.
Tonight's HD video is presented.
So just over 9 minutes left. Crosby opened the scoring in a hurry, and then Bo Bennett. 2-0 Pittsburgh.
Sidney Crosby got the Penguins off and running at the 10-second mark with a shot that looks pretty familiar. Go back to February 12th, a 5-4 Penguins lead. Look at where he shoots the puck on Robin Leonard. It's right by the face-off tees. Here's in the first period tonight. It's in the same spot. It ends up in the same place. And Crosby, who probably doesn't have a half a dozen slap shot goals this season, has 2 here at the Canadian Tire Center.
Goal number 302 in his career, became the 5th Penguin to hit the 300 goal mark last week. Joining Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, John Pronovo, and Rick Keogh. Lapierre fires it around. Mark Mathot's going to step up. Active defense. That one bounced off a stick. And Fleury had to be alert on that as he covers up.
Oh, the deflection from the other team's difficult enough. We saw a stop on Bobby Ryan. Max Lapierre gives the puck away around the boards, and Mathot's shot is actually deflected by Ben Lovejoy. And that tests Fleury as Fleury thinks it's coming up to his glove. There's the deflection. You can see him reaching to catch it, but he's in good position to freeze the puck in the crease. Sometimes it's better just to let it go. I mean, where Lovejoy is, I don't know what he's going to do with it. Even if he does knock it down, it's probably best to let Marc-Andre Fleury handle that one.
Mentioned the game back in mid-February. Senators scored 4 in the 3rd to force that to extra time, and Pittsburgh won in a shootout. The other meeting this year was in December. Ottawa had a 2-1 lead. Pittsburgh tied it and then won the game on a goal by Christian Ehrhoff with just over 2 minutes to go in a game that looked like Ottawa was going to get at least a point. You look back at those points that get away, and Horton won in December is now in the first week of April.
I think if every team started to do that, every coach would have no hair. They would all pull all of it out. It's amazing how teams can look back and say, man, did we kick away some valuable points.
Urban Attitudes from Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Live life comfortably.
Had a good chat with Dave Cameron this morning, and we were sitting there, Chris. We liked his analogy to NASCAR racing, that the Senators are back in the pack, and it's dangerous back there. There's lots of bumping that can go on. He used the example from Dale Earnhardt saying that it's better to race from out in front, and where the Senators are, there's a lot of bumping and trading of paint going on as they try to climb this last little bit into a playoff spot.
A little spin out in the early going here as they try to recover. Under 8 minutes to go here in an opening period. Shots now starting to even off. 7-5 in favor of Pittsburgh, who had 7 of the first 8. Drifted back in by Scuderi. Pittsburgh in the midst of a change. Borowiecki pushing it ahead. A little miscommunication and a turnover. Backhand knocked down in front, and Stone comes back to collect it.
Man, every time there's a loose puck, Mark Stone's on the ice, he seems to get his hands on it. It's about 5 times already in the first period.
David Perron back in. Eric Gryba stands him up, chases him back to the line. Brandon Sutter's on it. Here's Sutter in behind the net. Bo Bennett, who has scored, parks in front. Lovejoy's shot wide of the goal, and there's Perron. Former St. Louis Blue and Edmonton Oiler. Chased to the boards by Gryba. Sutter missed the pass, and it's flipped out and down the ice.
See the way the Senators have started to pick up the pace of their game a little bit, pick up their aggressiveness.
And here's Malkin, loose, across, shot, and Hammond got a piece of that as Blake Como got a scoring chance. Now Chiasson back. Alex Chiasson tried to drop it off, turns it over, and away goes Kunitz, along with Como and Malkin. 3-on-1, Malkin, stopped by Hammond. Big stop, mark that one. A 3-on-1 stop against Malkin. Zach Smith the other way. Here's Legwand shooting, and Fleury stopped that through a screen. Smith comes up with it. Smith shoots and fires it wide. Lazar's on it. Now Legwand. Cautious shot that hit a leg and ends up in the corner. Ceci plays it wide of the net. Zibanejad off the bench into the fray, pushed by him, and Pittsburgh cleared. So after a glorious Pittsburgh chance, some pressure by the Senators.
Well, what a stop for Andrew Hammond. The 3-on-1, a perfect pass from Kunitz to Malkin, and Andrew Hammond reads the play and explodes across the net for the stop.
Crosby up ahead at center. Hornquist trying to get by Carlson. A shot by Scuderi off his skate. The quick backhand by Crosby. It's a score! Hornquist cashes in after a stunning backhand by Crosby, and it's 3-1.
Now the officials are going to take a look at this, but there's 2 incredible plays by the Penguins here on this play. First off is Hornquist keeping the play alive on Carlson, holding the puck, and then he doesn't stay on the boards. The next is a 40-foot backhander from Crosby. Hammond makes his second miraculous stop of the period, but Hornquist beats Carlson back to the front of the net. And Patrick Hornquist, Sidney Crosby each with a goal, Bo Bennett with a goal. And 15 minutes in, the Senators are down by 3.
3-0. Crosby started it and figures in that goal. And when we asked Andrew Hammond this morning, Ray, about his book on Crosby, what was the first thing he said? You have to be wary of the backhand.
I don't know 3 players in the league that could backhand the puck from that far away with that much velocity. And it was a brilliant stop from Hammond to keep the puck alive.
So after a sensational stop by Hammond off Malkin and then a pushback by Ottawa, Pittsburgh enhances the lead, and Hammond squeezes that, then holds on. Well, the Penguins had been struggling offensively, not in this first period. Hornquist, his 25th, 3-0. Canadian Tire Senators Hockey on TSN is brought to you by Toyota Red Tag Days. Hurry into your local Toyota dealer for great offers on many 2015 models.
Dave Cameron behind the bench of the Senators, where things have gone pretty well for a long time. They've really only had one clunker over the last while, Chris. It was that game against the Rangers, and the chore for Cameron is to see if the team will settle down and start chipping away at this lead. The toughest part is to not panic right now. You're down 3, of course. It's been a terrible start, but you have lots of time to work your way back into the game. Just get yourself with a chance going into the third period.
Hoffman picks it up back inside his own line. Flips it off the glass. It'll be gloved down by Paul Martin, the veteran defender. Hoffman gets it back, chips it in. Knocked off stride as Sutter goes back to get it. Pajot unable to come up with it along the boards. And out at center goes veteran Craig Adams, who has won cups with Pittsburgh and Carolina, sends it in. To the point, Martin. He'll shoot it, and traffic in front. That one off target, comes out to center. Lovejoy back in his own zone. The tourist line has checked in. Malkin, past Stone, into the zone. Puts on the brakes, plays it towards the net, and Carlson there, taken back by Como. Chip past Malkin, and out comes Clark MacArthur and Stone. They'll play it past Martin and go after it. Kunitz helping out defensively. Malkin's on it, Stone arrives. Here's MacArthur, a shot right on. And the rebound cleared by Pittsburgh out to center.
And that's where the Senators are going to get their chances, Chris. This Penguins defense is somewhat in a band-aid mode without 3 of their top 4 guys. They'll make mistakes back there, but you got to get on them and pressure the puck.
Hammond hands it off to Cody Ceci. Zibanejad back in his own zone. There's Hornquist. Winnick arrives on the scene. Gets it to Crosby. A goal and an assist for 87. The NHL scoring leader trying to win back-to-back Art Ross trophies for the first time in his brilliant career. Sent to the line. Pouliot across, and that shot goes wide. Crosby takes a high stick. That's going to be a penalty against Patrick Wiercioch, and they'll check 87 out for damage.
Well, much like the Lapierre penalty on Pajot, it's a play where the puck is in the vicinity and the defending player's trying to lift the offensive player's stick. There you see Wiercioch, he's taking off from the front of that. He actually gets him with his first stride. You're going to watch Wiercioch right here catch Crosby right under the visor. And so the Penguins, who killed off the first power play, go on to their power play. A power play that started the year off unbelievably 37% until the middle of November, and they've been about 12% since.
Looking for their 50th power play goal of the year. Brandon Sutter won the draw to come back to Cole and hop over his stick. Taylor Chorney back to get it. Recently called up.
And the Penguins had to play with 5 defensemen due to salary cap constraints and the injuries that they had. Until Steve Downey went on the injured list, they didn't have enough cap room to call up a 6th defenseman. That 6th man is Taylor Chorney.
Led the American Hockey League in plus minus. Over the line come Pittsburgh. Pass back to Cole. Now Perron. David Perron down low. Quick pass for Kunitz. Cut off by Greiba. And he'll clear.
There's a pre-scout for you. The puck went down low. Greiba turned to where David Perron was standing. Knowing the pass is likely going to go there, he gets a stick on the ice and they clear it down.
Malkin, a cut to the inside, high slot. Crosby try to give it back to Malkin. That doesn't work, and it slides out to center. Pajot and Conroy, the penalty killers. Back in with speed, Hornquist. Knocked away from him, but Malkin. A spin around pass, Crosby to Pouliot. Now Martin. Malkin. Pouliot, the one-timer off the toe of Hammond. Rebound to Malkin. Crosby Returns to Malkin, has some trouble with it. Methot closed on him. Hard hit. Malkin shaken up. Hornquist stays with it. Malkin back on it. Knocked away from him, but he's still feeling the effects of the hit by Marc Methot. Here in the final minute, centering pass, and Hammond got a piece of that as Hornquist parks in front where he does so much damage. Hornquist, that pass off to Crosby doesn't work. Pouliot, Martin, Pouliot, shot, and Hammond got a piece of that. The penalty over, and back out comes Wiercioch. Crosby to the point. There's Pouliot swinging it back for Malkin, and that shot off a stick and out of play with 25.4 seconds left in the period.
Marc Methot gets a solid lick on Malkin here. As you see Malkin turning to pick up the puck. Methot a left hand shove to the boards, and Malkin's fine on the bench, just getting his visor cleaned up, but rattled by a pretty solid hit from Marc Methot.
Turris and Winnick on the drop in the Ottawa zone. Wiercioch with it, MacArthur, and now Karlsson sends it inside the line, sent back out, and now a dozen seconds. Slowly advancing Scuderi, rink wide it goes. That puck out of play. We'll have one more face-off with 2.7 left. The shot's 12-7 in favor of Pittsburgh in a long first period for the home side.
It's time to go regroup here. This period is going to end after this draw. And for the Senators, it's not much about strategy. It's about regaining composure and finding a way to chip away at this Penguins lead.
Crosby, Bennett, Hornquist all scoring in the opening period for the Penguins, who lead 3-0 after one. Time for our first intermission. Summary brought to you by the Metro Ford dealers of Ottawa, and it started quickly. Sidney Crosby at the 10-second mark, a goal and an assist for Crosby, and 4 shots in the opening period. The shot attempts were 26-13 in favor of Pittsburgh as we look ahead to the second period. 3-0 Penguins, and a lot of that shot advantage was started by turnovers by the Ottawa Senators early and often, Ray.
Yeah, we talked in our keys to the game that you can't defend all the time. You've got to push the puck up the ice, but if you're always turning the puck over, you're back on your heels. There's the opening face-off. Karlsson and Stone try a play through the middle of the ice. It's intercepted. It ends up in the net. 1-0. Look how many times the puck's within 15 feet of the blue line. The Senators have control of it, and then they turn it over to the Penguins. The puck gets reloaded and ends up back to the net. 2 of the 3 goals were directly off of turnovers, the Crosby goal and the Hornquist goal. Dave Cameron's team has to protect the puck much better, but they also have to attack with it. You can't get back on your heels and allow the Penguins to dictate the pace.
Senators have gone to overtime or a shootout in 4 consecutive games. First time in franchise history that's happened. They love a situation to get into a 5th consecutive one after the opening period here tonight. So we start the second. Methot and Karlsson, the Turris line up front. And it's off Clark MacArthur and in. There's Turris sending it across, and Fleury flashes the glove, and a huge stop in the opening minute of the second period off Erik Karlsson.
Well, Karlsson had a tough period. He was -3 on for all 3 goals against. It takes him 30 seconds to almost make the lead 3-1. Watch Crosby spin off the puck, and when he spins off the puck, there's no one to cover Karlsson. Marc-Andre Fleury with an unbelievable glove save. And watch after the stop, Crosby knows he's made the mistake and left Karlsson open. He ends up looking towards the ceiling, knowing it's his mistake, bailed out by Marc-Andre Fleury.
Zibanejad won the offensive zone face-off. Out there again with Lazar, tied up by Malkin. Wiercioch knocked down as he sent it wide. Wiercioch has been shaken up, and they're going to stop play as Patrick Wiercioch in difficulty in the Pittsburgh zone.
I have to get a look at it, Chris, but it seemed as though as he was dancing through the zone with the puck, he catches a hip check. I believe it's from Chris Kunitz. we'll take a look at it here on the replay as Wiercioch obviously in difficulty. There's the hip, and it is from Kunitz, and he seems to catch Wiercioch up towards the hip. That looks like it's a Charlie horse or higher than the knee for sure. Is Kunitz who will make that hit. It's not a penalty. It's a hip-to-hip contact, and hopefully Patrick Wiercioch is just shaken up here. Wiercioch, who has formed a really good second pair with Cody Ceci, seems in no great hurry to put any weight on his hip. There's the hit. You see it's the backside of Kunitz into the hip and thigh of Patrick Wiercioch, and the Senators, at least for the near time here, will be down to 5 defensemen.
Wiercioch has been such a key player in this run after being a healthy scratch 19 times early in the year. He's been over 21 minutes the last 4 games, 9 times over 20 minutes all season long. Overtime goal against Tampa, scored against Pittsburgh, and see if he's able to come back here tonight. Pajot on the forecheck along with Hoffman and Ryan, and Pajot knocked down, penalty pending against Ben Lovejoy of Pittsburgh. So early in the second period, Senators go to the power play, their second of the game.
Lovejoy's taking a look at this up on the big board. I don't know why players are surprised this is called a penalty, where Lovejoy's got 2 hands on his stick. The way to avoid the penalty is to take one hand off your stick, and instead of cross-checking across the numbers, put the weight of your hands on the top of his hips and drive him into the boards. You won't get a penalty. Pajot goes down. It's a good call, and now the Senators with their second power play.
Turris takes in on this face-off against Lapierre and wins it. It'll come back to Carlson. Carlson gets the shot through. Stone takes a whack at it, and Fleury freezes that on the ricochet off the inboards.
A lot of Marc-Andre Fleury's play this year that's been discussed is in his solid season is how much more controlled he is in the net. He's worked for the past couple of years with goaltending coach Mike Bales. Bales, who played just a little bit in the NHL, has tried to quiet Fleury's movements and keep him deeper to the post when the puck's towards the goal line. As evidence there, they're not able to sneak the puck between Fleury and the goal.
Mike Bales, a familiar name to Senator fans, briefly here in Ottawa. Carlson at the wheel. The Ottawa power play advances into Pittsburgh ice. Knocked down along the boards. Carlson gets it back. Lapierre disrupts that, comes up with it, and clears. 2 minutes into period 2. 80 seconds of power play time remaining. Legwand's pass does get to the right side, and now it's Stone over the line. He has trouble with it. They don't look as confident as the Senators have in recent weeks. Out of the attack. Here comes Zibanejad trying to duck in against Martin. He'll play it along the boards, back to the point. Ryan can't hold it, and out it comes to center. Couple shots on the first power play, but nothing doing so far here as Fleury's out to play it. He'll backhand it away and gives it to Hoffman. Sends it to the far side. There's Zibanejad. Chiasson in the slot. Plays it back to the point. Carlson gets the return pass. Shot is blocked. Can't get it through on the shot blocked by the veteran Craig Adams.
You have to provide a service to stay in the league. Craig Adams, an excellent penalty killer, makes the block on Carlson's one-timer. He's not going to score. He doesn't have any goals in his last 60 games, but man, he can kill penalties.
Ceci across. There's a shot. Rebound loose. And it's played off the side of the net. Marc-Andre Fleury looks sharp here tonight. Couple more shots on the power play. And now out of the box. Lovejoy with the rear breakaway. Lovejoy stopped by Hammond. Gets his own rebound. Works it back as the Penguins making changes on the play. I wonder if that's Ben Lovejoy's first breakaway in the league.
I would say that's a pretty fair wager. Everybody dreams of that, coming out of the penalty box and getting a breakaway.
Here's Pajot into the skates of Method, who kicked it back towards Pajot. Now behind the net, Condra upended there by Malkin. Stays on the puck.
Move it out! Let's go, it's loose!
Pinned by Chorney, and out it comes Pajot to the point. Here's Grabber's shot off a stick wide. Method moves up. He's pumped by Como. Pittsburgh gains control, a long lead alley-oop pass. Just doesn't reach to Como. Mark Method takes over, the former Canada Laser ahead. Legwand over the line, drops it off. Condra trying to break through, Chiasson stop. Rebound off the side of the net, another big stop, and another by Fleury, as Chiasson has a second opportunity from point-blank range.
Well, Alex Chiasson with a chance to get the Senators back in, but it was Ben Lovejoy coming out of the penalty box. The puck will skip past Carlson. It's tipped by Lapierre. Hoffman chases him down, but Lovejoy with a backhand. Andrew Hammond stays with him to make the stop. And the Senators with about their third and fourth good chances of the period. Fleury with the first stop on Chiasson. He wants to clear it away. He ends up handing it right to Legwand and Condra. And then he's forced to stop Chiasson again. So the Senators quickly out of the gate here. They've evened the shots at 13. They've pushed the Penguins back on their heels to start period 2.
Shot 6-1. 4.5 minutes into the second period as Turris gets set for a face-off against Crosby, who prevails. Around it goes, and Hornquist sends it to center. There's Clark MacArthur. Out to the right side, back in. Comes Ottawa. That's Stone after it. Mark Stone. And now Turris, and a glove stop. Fleury locked in here early in the second period.
Well, the Senators have peppered Marc-Andre Fleury early here. Look at the hands by Turris. He drags it around Sidney Crosby. That's the second time in this period that Crosby's man's had a terrific scoring chance. First it was Carlson, now it's Turris, and both times Marc-Andre Fleury has flashed the trapper and made two terrific stops.
In his previous 5 starts, Fleury had allowed 18 goals, a save percentage of .888. But perfect here so far tonight. And with that Turris shot, Senators now have the edge in shots on goal in the game, 14-13. Here's Chiasson behind the net, met there by Ian Cole. An outlet for Perron. Spins it back on the backhand, but off a skate, and the Senators hold it in. That one bounced on Legwand, trying to get it to the point, and it's one-handed to center by Bennett. Played back in by Borowiecki. Ian Cole onto the right wing. Sent up the boards, and Brandon Sutter will get it out. Chip back to Sutter at center. He's tied up by Legwand. And Bo Bennett will finally get it deep for the Penguins. Captain back to get it. Carlson up on the right side, pass Pajot. Fleury out to play it. And now it's Hornquist. Patrick Hornquist at the ricochet off the linesman. Winnick was inside the line and swung that wide of the net. Now Method. Rinked wide. Pajot skates onto it. He'll drop to Ryan. And he fanned on the pass, and Winnick comes back to intercept for Pittsburgh. As Ryan was unable to get it across to Hoffman, and now Crosby to the attack. Crosby in deep. Knocked off his stick, and Senators survive that odd man rush.
Well, the puck is like a tennis ball here for the last couple of minutes. Nobody can handle it. First Ryan, then Crosby.
Crosby stays out, rink wide it goes, and Hammond makes a stop on that, then holds on for a face-off. 13:31 remaining, second period in the nation's capital.
For sure, Ray, as he watches on with Chris.
Your focus has been good tonight, Ray.
As far as you can tell, I've been scrolling through my phone on the box scores all the time. Patrick Wiercash on the bench here has got his leg bent and hooked on the top of the bench. That's the only way you can stretch out a quad, the Charlie horse, and he looks like he's going to give it a go here for the Senators.
There's Zibanejad dumping it in off Fleury. Directs it to the corner. Chorney taken to the boards. Ottawa on the puck. Borowiecki across. Gryba hesitated and then got the shot through, and a glove stop by Marc-Andre Fleury.
Now Gryba can't settle the puck down on the Borowiecki chance, but Marc-Andre Fleury has helped out a great deal here by Chris Kunitz. Look where Kunitz is, and he gets all the way to the front. As he slides, Fleury knows that the puck has to come over top of him if it's going to reach the net. It's a rather easy glove for Fleury. He only has to worry about his hands. You know the thing's not going to come on the ice, as Kunitz would have blocked it.
Shots now 10-2 in the second period. One thing about Pittsburgh, usually the focus at this time of the year is whether or not the goaltending will be good enough. That certainly has been the least of the worries of Pittsburgh fans in the last few weeks.
I think the focus is right now, can they score a couple of goals, which they've done, but also can they get Christian Ehrhoff, and will they get Chris Letang back? It seems Ehrhoff is closer than Letang.
One thing we noticed this morning, that with so much not going right in Pittsburgh, you just sense business as usual, especially from number 87, as if, you know, they've been down this road so often before.
Certainly a lot of the focus on Crosby and on Evgeny Malkin. Malkin just been on the ice one time in the first 7 minutes. Remember, he was hit by Mark McCott late in the first period.
Chiasson losing an edge, losing the puck, and it's played back in. Carlson swats it around. Chiasson with a couple of chances on his last shift. Here's Bennett directing a shot on net. Jarred there by Mathatu, works him over. And now Carlson will take over. Flips it out to center. Legwand lurking there along with Zach Smith. Zach Smith moving in. Legwand follows. So does McDonald. Puck shot right on. And Fleury stopped back and takes a little shove at Chiasson.
Wide open net for Chiasson, and the puck hopped over his stick. It was an easy push in. The puck just bounced over his stick. Terrible break.
Wiercash on the ice again. And again, another stop by Marc-Andre Fleury, who's been tremendous here in the second period. Chiasson thinks about another miss.
Now this is how things go when you've got 5 goals in 55 games. Look at that puck. It's right on the tape, but it hops over Chiasson's stick. He's the only one that's going to get it, and it hops past him. And then when Legwand comes from behind the net, he gets to Chiasson again. And that's his third good look of the period. Fleury denied all 3.
Only once in the last 25 games has Chiasson had more than 2 shots. He's had a couple of great chances here in the second period alone. Mark Stone with a near takeaway. He leads the league in that department. Puck bounces to the line and out. Mark MacArthur puck. Turris behind the net. Can't reach it. An outlet for Martin to Winnick that doesn't work. Paul Martin, the veteran, will try it again. Lovejoy up to Hornquist. He'll dump it in. And Winnick after it first. Working against Cody Ceci. Winnick gets loose. Daniel Winnick, and that pass to the point off the stick of Stone down in Pittsburgh ice. Both teams change as Pittsburgh advances. Here's Ian Cole. Scuderi up ahead, Spaulding lays it in. And again, not seeing Malkin here in the second period.
He was just standing up on the bench, Chris. I believe he's only been on the ice one time in the first 10 minutes here of this period. He's going to jump on the ice.
Here he comes, okay.
With his regular line mates, Como and Kunitz here, but Not much ice time at all for Evgeny Malkin.
Such a dominant record with Crosby and Malkin together in the lineup. Much different story when one of them's missing.
And everybody deals with injuries, but when you have someone like that out, how do you possibly replace him? There's nobody in your system to replace Evgeny Malkin.
There he comes along with Como. Sends it across to the wide side. Pouliot trying to duck in. Now Malkin after it. And a sneaky backhand that just went wide. And the ricochet frozen by Hammond.
Post or tweet your photos to #SamsungSensFan, like this lucky fan did, for your chance to win fabulous prizes courtesy of Samsung.
Certainly no worse for wear on that shift. Malkin danced through the middle of the ice, made a nice pass across to Pouliot, and then was able to get the puck back for a backhand. But he's missed 8 of the last 11 games, and the Penguins are just nowhere near as dynamic when he's not in the lineup.
Pittsburgh has scored 10 goals this season in the 3 meetings against Ottawa. Malkin has 3, and Crosby has 3. 10 minutes into the second. Ottawa still trying to break through against Fleury. A drop pass that doesn't work. Back the other way comes Perron with Brandon Sutter. Pass through for Sutter. Stalling in behind the net, looks for it. Back to Perron. Tied up by Pajot, but stays with it. Carlson in there defensively. Perron has it knocked off his stick, but Smalling will take over. Rob Scuderi. Veteran defender sends it in behind the net. Gets past the traffic there and scooped out by Hoffman. Pass that slowly reaches Ian Cole. He'll bounce it down the ice. Pittsburgh in the midst of a change as Crosby comes out. On the forecheck, Carlson moves it ahead. Turris out through center. Sends it inside the line. MacArthur trying to sneak onto it. And he was tied up. Now Stone reaching in for it. But out comes Pittsburgh, and again it's Hornquist. Over the line with Crosby. Wraps it around. Winnick looks for it. Stone is there. Left it, and Hornquist takes over. Crosby from the corner right off. Rebound, Hornquist. And Hammond with back-to-back stops. The line's been a handful. They've got 2 of the 3 Pittsburgh goals tonight. Our player profile brought to you by Asante, providing complete financial advice. Second fastest Swedish defenseman to 300 points behind only Boreas Salming. Not Erik Karlsson's best night, but in the Bob McKenzie coaches poll, sounds like if the coaches were voting, he'd be the heavy favorite for the Norris.
What an incredible turnaround, yet not just for the Senators, but for Erik Karlsson in this season. When Mark Mathot returned to the lineup, Karlsson has been plus 34 since the 20th of December. He was almost at the bottom of the league before that. It's been a remarkable turnaround, and his offense has exploded as well.
Here's Pittsburgh pressure, another stop by Hammond as Malkin came in from short range. Kunitz with a turnover at center. Malkin swooping back in. It's getting Malkin in front, and he's checked there by Wirkosh. Dominant opening 10 minutes for Ottawa in the second period. No scoring, and now Pittsburgh pushing back. Zibanejad, whistling just off target. After it again. Sticking on this line with Condra and Lazar here tonight. And Malkin able to reach it out to center. Under 8 left here in the second. All the scoring done in the first. Ian Cole ahead. Redirected off Winnick's stick, and it will bounce right into the blue paint for a face-off and a chance to check in with Brian Mudryk.
Chris, thank you so much. Update time. Good news for Ottawa here. Bad turnover for the Wings, and look who capitalizes. Nathan Gerbe jumps on the puck, scores his 10th, so they're tied up at 1. Back to Chris and Ray.
Pittsburgh win tonight would clinch a playoff spot for the 9th consecutive year for the Penguins. It would not eliminate the Senators unless all the results went against them on the out-of-town scoreboard tonight. Hornquist at center. Dumps it in, Hammond out of the net. Sends it around, knocked down by Winnick. There's Crosby. Hornquist in front. Crosby swivels. Hammond unable to reach that, then Winnick takes over. Back to the point. Paul Martin plays the ricochet. Knocked away from Crosby by Carlson. Flipped high into the air, and Ottawa's out. Terrace across. Over the line, Carlson. Sends it toward the net, off the stick of Fleury. Ottawa on it, but Crosby takes it away, and he starts back. Turris in pursuit, over the line. Winnick, and that shot goes high. Crosby from the corner. He's knocked down. Methot with a strong play on Crosby. And stays on him. Crosby gets it to the point. Chorney chops it in deep. There's Nick Spaulding in behind the net. Spaulding works it out. Shot right on. Played by Smith, but not out. Kept in by Pittsburgh. Brandon Sutter behind the goal. There's Perron. Tracked by Methot. Knocked down by Methot. Penalty upcoming to Mark Methot. Fleury goes to the bench for an extra tackle. Cross-ice pass for Chorney. Played by Stone. And the penalty call being made by Chris Rooney will send Methot to the box. So a Pittsburgh power play upcoming when we return. Join host Ian Mendez and Gord Wilson after every home game for All Access. Presented by Bell. Live on the Sens website and mobile app.
Cross-checking penalty to Mark Methot. See, I don't think this is a cross-check. If that's near the boards, I think it's a cross-checking penalty. In the middle of the ice, I think it's a shove. It's down near his hips where I believe you have to have some leeway, but nonetheless, this is a huge penalty kill for the Senators, who had a great start to the period. They flattened out a bit here. See if they can grab a little momentum back while they're shorthanded.
Crosby and Malkin both on the ice. 87 with 10 power play goals on the year. 71 has 9. Paul Martin brings them out. Malkin over the line. He'll send it across. There's Derek Pouliot, the young defenseman, on the power play. A chance for Hornquist. Is that off the post? Out comes Pajot. There's John Gabriel Pajot dancing in. Backhand across. Scores! Pouliot it in. Short-handed.
Now, I didn't necessarily mean a short-handed goal, Chris, when saying that maybe they can grab some momentum from a penalty kill. Hornquist's shot is blocked by Borowiecki in front of the net. Terrific block by Borowiecki. The puck bounces to Pajot, and he'll throw it to the front off of Derek Pouliot's left skate, and the Senators are on the board with a short-handed goal.
8th of the year for Pajot. Second short-handed. All 8 here at home.
All of Pajot's game is energy. And look at how he's electrified the building with his shorthanded effort. But it starts with the block by Mark Borowiecki.
11 times in Senator history they've come back from 3-0 down to win a game. They did it earlier this year against Vancouver. Within 2 now, but Pittsburgh still on the power play. 5 minutes to go here in the second period. Malkin can't control. Knocked down, and away goes Stone. Mark Stone over the line. He'll get it to Legwood. Stopped by Fleury. What a chance for a second short-handed goal, but now Malkin comes back. Over the line along with Brandon Sutter. Malkin sidesteps Pajot, trying to shake the checking of the man who has scored for Ottawa. Down low it goes. They give it back to Malkin. And up top for Ian Cole with Paul Martin. Johnston's got a pair of defensemen back there now.
25!
And Sutter. Goal. 20 seconds left in the power play. Malkin shoots, and Hammond sees that through the Hornquist screen and holds on.
Chris, you mentioned earlier in the period that the questions around the Penguins, usually at playoff time, are what about Marc-Andre Fleury? He's made 3 or 4 terrific stops in this period. Early on Chiasson, this one on David Legwand, shorthanded moments after Jean-Gabriel Pageau has made it 3-1. The Penguins get caught watching the puck. Nobody accounts for David Legwand, and Fleury answers the bell.
For the Senators, their 6th shorthanded goal of the year. Fox stands in the box, ready to return. 1 shot so far for Pittsburgh. A goal and a couple of shorthanded chances for Ottawa. McLeod back out, and there he is. Playing it deep, and he'll head to the bench on a change. Under 4 to go here in the second period. David Perron leads it. Taylor Chorney off the boards and out to center. 23-22, shots favor Ottawa. Now Carolina trying to help Dave Cameron out. Let's get an update from Brian Mudryk.
Chris, basically as Pageau was scoring for Ottawa, this happened. Hurricanes, Detroit Red Wings, and you're going to find Chris Terry banging in that puck. And what do we have here? The Hurricanes leading 2-1 now in the second.
But primary for Ottawa, taking care of their own business. Get some energy off the shorthanded goal. And Turris, MacArthur, and Stone back on the ice. Puck played to the line. Winnick will steer it down into Ottawa territory. Crosby in pursuit of the puck as Carlson went back. Around it goes, stopped up there. Carlson will try the far side. Out of the reach of Stone, but out to center. Deflected back in by Winnick. Hasn't spent a lot of time on the line with Crosby, but has looked comfortable up there tonight, hasn't he?
Yeah, he plays up and down the lineup. He's done it in the past. Looking for a little more balance as Mike Johnston is.
Another power play coming up for Pittsburgh. Malkin tripped up by Bobby Ryan, who is going to argue his case. Ryan sprawled. Malkin tripped up over top of him.
Watch the skate of Bobby Ryan. It's the right skate first that makes contact with Evgeny Malkin as Ryan is lying out on the ice. Their skates click together. That sends him off balance, and as he stretches out, the tripping call is made. And so the Penguins back to the power play, but so is Jean-Gabriel Pageau, shorthanded. Crucial kill here again for the Senators.
Crosby across, played in front off Hammond. Ricochets back to the Penguin captain. Malkin to the point. Pouliot across. And Pouliot fans on that. Goes to Crosby. Shot blocked by Borowiecki. Back to Pouliot again. Former Portland Winterhawk to Crosby. Swings it into the corner. Malkin up top for the youngster. Pouliot shot doesn't get through. Malkin bumped into the boards by Borowiecki. Crosby back up to Pouliot again. Malkin, so dangerous, sends it across wide of the net. No tip there. Martin, Hornquist. Crosby to Malkin once again. Evgeny Malkin turns back. Chorney, Malkin, cross ice. Martin in behind the net. Ricochets past Crosby. All to the second minute.
All the zone time, nothing to the net yet.
Malkin trying to change that. It goes wide. Martin plays it behind the net. Chance for Driver to clear. Lost it to Hornquist. Now Malkin, bad angle, and Hammond gets a piece of that. Up top, Chorney shot. Stopped and The rebound cleared. Half-minute remaining and the penalty to Ryan. Just over a minute left here in the second.
Last time to play in the second period.
Here comes Sutter. Into the zone. Off the skate to Mathot. And Turris will skate out with it. Now Turris over the line and they're called offside. Carlson preceding the play. Close call. And he looked back at the linesman to disagree.
Really good positionally on the penalty kill for the Senators. As this scrum gets broken up, Mark Borowiecki does a terrific job for the Senators when they're shorthanded. He had a block that led to this Pajot shorthanded goal earlier. He had another block on this last penalty kill. He was telling us this morning, Chris, about how much players feel banged up, yet these games you find a little extra juice, and he's had another good one tonight. Man, that guy seems to be made of stone the way he's been banged around this year, and there he is yet again with a couple of good blocks.
Credited with a pair here in the period, and now 98 on the year. Approaching 100 in that department, 100 penalty minutes on the season. And he mentioned to us this morning that just happened to be one of his goals for the year. They've all been well earned.
I guess everybody has different goals. I never had that written down in any columns.
There's a blocker stop by Hammond, reaching out on that. A couple dozen seconds remaining. Will be held in at the line. Sent in behind the net where Mathot plays it up off the glass. Turris scoops it out. Into the late stages here. Clock trading, maybe one more attack. That pass doesn't work. Backtracking Lovejoy. And the period is done. Ottawa with all kinds of chances early and a short-handed goal late by Pajot. 16-13 shots in the second. 3-1 Pittsburgh after two. Here again, Brian Mudryk. Our second period scoring summary brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. Jean-Gabriel Pajot, the short-handed goal in the later stages of the second period. And the shots through two periods, Pittsburgh 25-23 shot attempts are 46-37 in favor of the Penguins, but it was a different start to that second period, Ray, and if not for Marc-Andre Fleury, this game might be even closer.
First 5 minutes of the period, the Senators changed the complete complexion of this game, and while they didn't score, they pushed the Penguins back on their heels, and Marc-Andre Fleury was outstanding, in particular a couple of stops early off Alex Chiasson. Chiasson had 4 shots in that second period, 3 of them from about 8 feet out. Fleury making the stops as the Penguins started to stumble around in their zone a little bit, turn pucks over like the Senators did in the first period. The chances came more frequently. Fleury was exceptionally sharp, and this maybe was his biggest stop. After the shorthanded goal from Pajot deflected in off of Derek Pouliot, Fleury turned aside David Legwand on the same power play to make the stop and preserve the 2-goal lead.
So a critical third period ahead. They start with Turris, Stone, and MacArthur. A trio that has combined for 22 points in the last 6 games since MacArthur's return. Mark Stone with a 6-game point streak on the line here in the third period, but a lot more at stake than that. Turris sends it ahead, and MacArthur will dump it in and chase after it. Up against Lovejoy, a good hit. Turris comes up with it along the far side. He's tied up by Hornquist. Outlet by Crosby. When it missed it, Stone scores! 34 seconds in! And it's a 1-goal game!
There is no way Mark Stone cannot be in the Rookie of the Year balloting. What an incredible second half of this season. Crosby keeps the puck alive. Winnick can't handle the feed from Crosby. And after that work by Turris to keep the puck alive, the misplay leads the puck back to MacArthur, and Mark Stone, who can deliver the puck so quickly, makes a perfect shot past Marc-Andre Fleury for his 23rd goal, and the Senators have climbed back to within one.
So it's a 7-game point streak, his 60th point of the year.
Oh, Borowiecki's hurt here.
Borowiecki sprawling in his own zone. He's hurt. Malkin advances. Borowiecki gets up, and that shot sails high as Borowiecki tries to make the play.
He's in trouble here. That's a right knee for Mark Borowiecki.
Play continues. Borowiecki finally gets off a centering pass just out of the reach. And back comes Malkin. Stone from MacArthur. 34 seconds in. Play continuing as Borowiecki getting help down the tunnel.
The Penguins are down to 5 defensemen. Derek Pouliot's not on their bench. Patrick Wierkosh is banged up for the Senators, and now Borowiecki's gone to the locker room for Ottawa as well.
Wierkosh on the ice at the moment. He had to leave midway through the second period. Mike Hoffman can't catch up to that. And now Pajot steals. He's in. Right side, Ryan, a hot shot. And Fleury stops that. Bobby Ryan trying to bump the slump. He'll let a goal in his last 9. That goal actually ricocheted into the net of Zdeno Chara in a big game against Boston. Ceci sends it back in. Ottawa's got jump here in the third. That bounce to Torres. Stone! Oh, what a stop! Did you see that? Marc-Andre Fleury keeps it a 1-goal Pittsburgh lead on an exceptional stop of Mark Stone.
Well, the Penguins can thank Fleury for this lead here. Misplay again on the boards. Turris, Stone, and what a stop by Marc-Andre Fleury as Stone's bid to tie the game is denied. There's Borowiecki. He runs into Kunitz in the middle of the ice. There's a traffic jam in the middle. The puck is being played by Kunitz. They lock knees.
MacArthur a shot right on, and then a huge hit. Turns the puck over, and this shot just goes high.
Oh, Winnick
for Stone and Daniel Winnick. Now gathers himself. Methought the drive. All Senators here early third period. Bad angle shot. Stopped by Fleury as he hugged the post. What a swarming effort by the Turris line. Back to Methought. Into the glove. Fleury wants a whistle. And play is stopped after that flurry that started with a hit by MacArthur on Winnick.
Wow, did he light up Daniel Winnick in the middle of the ice. Winnick is pointing at the board that this is a blindside hit. MacArthur runs over Winnick. The puck is going to eventually go in the corner. Winnick doesn't finish on MacArthur. I was a little bit surprised. That's pretty close to a dangerous hit from Clark MacArthur. It looks like Winnick is fine on the bench, but the Penguins are reeling. The Senators have the momentum, and they now chase the game's tying goal.
Fortunately, Winnick clear-eyed. Senators with their eye on the playoffs here as the third period has started. The urgency you'd expect.
Chris, we talked at the beginning of the first period when they got down 2-0. Will they show that same resiliency that they have on several occasions in this 24-4 run? And the goal was to give themselves a chance going into the third period. Down 3-0 after one. Dave Cameron's bunch has done exactly that. A terrific second. Mark Stone's 23rd of the season pulls them within one with 17 left.
Saw Clark MacArthur getting checked out at the bench. Remember, he missed 18 games with a concussion. That huge contact. There's another shot. That's the 8th consecutive shot by Ottawa to start the third period. One's got in. They got one. They're within one. And now trying to even the score. Pajot with a hit, but Pittsburgh's out. Perron plays it to the Ottawa line. Wierkosh turning away from center and getting it ahead. Ryan with some speed on his off wing. Sends it across. Ceci steps up with a shot right on. Now plays it for Pajot. He missed it. Chasing it against Lovejoy, and it's rolled out to center ice. Spaulding will backhand it down. Both teams will start to make changes. The shot's now 31-25 in favor of Ottawa.
Borowiecki is one tough dude. He's back on the ice again for the Senators.
Great news to see Borowiecki return. Let's check in with the news on the out-of-town scoreboard with Brian.
Chris, maybe not great news for Ottawa fans. This is Gustav Nyquist. He's going to wait, snipe, and he gets his 27. They're all tied up at 2 now in the third.
Crosby won the draw. The puck comes outside the line. It really is remarkable how many times Mark Borowiecki has taken punishment this year and keeps coming back. I think it's vulcanized rubber, right? He's made of the same stuff as the pucks.
I'm just amazed at how tough he is and how he just is able to come back time and time again.
There's a chance for Winnick. Spun the shot off a stick. Wide of the net. Leg one. Takes out Crosby. Hornquist is on it, trying to center it. And Ottawa pulled it. A nice outlet by leg one. And now Chiasson to work. Chiasson has to hold up as Zach Smith preceded the play. And they'll just send it in and head to the bench on a change. Approaching 5 minutes of the third. Pass across, it reaches Mo Bennett, and there's a glove stop by Hammond. Out beyond the blue.
Not only is Borowiecki made out of rubber, it seems like. Look at the battle here with Hornquist. These are two guys that make their living in this area of the ice. Hornquist battling for position. Borowiecki knocks his stick out of his hands, and as the play goes behind the net, watch the battle continue. He's got him on the boards. He finishes him off, and Hornquist battles for position to get back to his feet, trying to get back to the front of the Ottawa net.
Malkin got it deep for Mo Bennett. Malkin and Crosby have combined for 10 of the shots for Pittsburgh in the game of their 26. Malkin's side of the net. There's Kunitz. There's Kunitz trying to spin away from the checking of Turris. Now Turris knocks it off the stick of Malkin. And out comes Ottawa. Turris to the red line. Can't get it past Cole. And the play's called offside at the Pittsburgh line.
Kyle Turris has a helper in this period. He got the puck moving on the Stone goal. And defensively, Turris's game, like a lot of players, starts to take shape as you learn some experience. Look, he's much smaller than Malkin, but he keeps his body to the inside of the ice. His stick is on the ice, and he separates Malkin from the puck. The play is out of danger in the Senator zone.
Turris now with 31 points in his last 31 games. And a career-high 61st here tonight. There's Hoffman on the left side, unable to connect with Ryan. Down into the Pittsburgh zone. Pittsburgh thought they could have been icing. Puck played down, and Sutter racing after it. He had an open man. Perron was loose, but the puck doesn't arrive. Sutter's got it again, trying to center here, and Hammond pounces on that and will hold on. Just past the 6-minute mark of the third, Mark Stone has made it a one-goal game here at the Canadian Tire Center. Visit the Senators' Facebook page after every win to vote on the Marks Man of the Match. Gabriel Pajot might get the nod in that department. If that shorthanded goal has helped spark a comeback to victory tonight. A lot of hockey to be played, just under 14 minutes remaining. Saw Mark Stone go to the room. Not sure of his status. Chiasson taking a turn here with Turris and MacArthur in his absence. Here's a chance and a shot rung off the post. Taylor Chorney with a blast that hits the pipe.
Stone back on the bench here, Chris, for the Sens.
And here's Turris, left wing MacArthur. Turris goes to the net as MacArthur sends it in on Fleury. Carlson moved up, chipped by him and out to center. Erik Karlsson regroups back in his own zone. Penguins change as Crosby checks out. Mark Methot up onto the far wing. It bounced to Turris. And now MacArthur and Turris may peel off on a change as they do head off. Lazar out there, and Eric Condra and Zibanejad had trouble with that, just hooked it away. And back in comes Kunitz. Had to delay just slightly. Otherwise, it would have been offside, but that delay might have cost them an odd man break. Lazar scooped in by Borowiecki. Pulled behind his net. Borowiecki runs over Blake Comeau as the puck slides back in the Ottawa zone. Up ahead off the skate of Zibanejad. Played that well to get control of it. Now Condra followed up. And a backhand got to the net. Here's Lazar from a bad angle, put it right on. Moving up is Wirkosh. Along the boards, he lost it. But it's kept in. Good play here, Wirkosh. Shot, and Condra unable to redirect that as it went wide. Zibanejad took a shot, hit a Pittsburgh Penguin player, ricochets out to center.
Pittsburgh's lucky. Perron had a flyby on the puck just inside the blue line, and Wirkosh just missed a backdoor pass.
Over 20,000 here, fan appreciation night engaged now. That centering pass comes all the way out to center. And the center trying to chip and chase against Mathot in the backhand wide. There's Winnick on the far side. Daniel Winnick overskates it. Pajot takes him to the boards. They battle, and Mathot comes in to help out. An outlet that doesn't connect with Hoffman and is sent back in. Shots 11-1 here in the third in favor of the Senators.
And don't forget, one shot that doesn't count was the Chorny slapper off the post. Pittsburgh misses Derek Pouliot here. Just 5 defensemen as they somehow try to defend the Senators, who have just taken this game over.
Turris with speed into the zone, but unable to break through. Back comes Kunitz. Over the line, he'll have to turn back. An extra move put his line mates offside. Paul Martin slows things down. There's Chorny, who has not scored a goal in the NHL since 2012. Came close to an enormous goal here for Pittsburgh in the third.
Don't forget, one of the reasons Chorny's in the lineup is because his salary fits underneath the salary cap. They weren't able to call up a couple other players, so Chorny's in the lineup and now playing significant minutes here in the third period.
Chiasson back with Smith and Legwand. Legwand directs it into the corner. Chiasson on it first. 4 shots on goal in the second period. Puck played to center. Past the midway mark here in the third. Ottawa playing with the energy we've seen for much of this amazing run that started just prior to a trip to California. Now Condra throws it across, and Crosby's on it. He'll come to the attack. Lost the handle, and it's chipped past him. Knocked away from Condra. Got a penalty coming up against Eric Condra, who got the stick up on Paul Martin. They'll check him for damages. Is it 2 or more? But flirting with danger as they get Pittsburgh. Yet another power play. And Eric Condra in the box. An easy 2 minutes after the stick comes up on Paul Martin.
They lose one of their better penalty killers.
Puck swept across the front. Pajot trying to send away Legwand. Pajot a shorthanded goal. Legwand had a shorthanded chance. And now Pajot tying up his man. Finally, Martin will get control, and Legwand and Pajot check out. Malkin gains access to the Ottawa zone. Martin. Now a shot from the point. Pull right on, and Hammond stopped that. No rebound. Hornquist on the doorstep, but Crosby has been shaken up.
Greiba took care of Crosby. Borowiecki took care of Hornquist. Crosby down on his hands and knees. We'll get a look at it. Oh. That puts you on your hands and knees too. The stick of Greiba comes up between the legs of Crosby and he's trying to catch his breath.
His voice may be as high as mine after that. Stays in to face off against Turris. And wins it back to Cole. Malkin a backhand wide. Martin moves up. Stone unable to swat it past him, and now the other way. The puck deflects out of play. And another face-off in the Senator zone.
A goal and an assist in the first period for Crosby. Had a couple of dangerous chances in the second. But like much of the Penguins, they've not really threatened around Andrew Hammond at all here in the third period.
45 seconds into the fourth power play of the night for Pittsburgh. And Turris against Crosby. Crosby wins the draw. Across it goes. Stone lurking there, and Malkin unable to hold it in, and now Stone will take it away. Turris driving down the middle. Stone in, and Fleury hugged the post and protected the short side. Now Turris works the corner, tried to center it, and Ian Cole gets control. That's 3 shorthanded chances for Ottawa. 1 goal. A man down here tonight. At the line, Lovejoy, now it's in front. Hornqvist passes off and handled very well. Stop Malkin. Hornqvist was in a pretty good shooting spot himself. Now off the skate of Malkin, and Stone will backhand it deep. Boy, that was a grade A chance for Pittsburgh.
Really good read of the play, as you mentioned, Chris, by Hammond. As soon as he sees Hornqvist pivot his hips, that the pass is going to go to the right instead of the shot, he's right over there and he smothers Malkin's one-timer.
Sent in by Lovejoy, sent right back out. That's going to do it. 2 shots on the power play, but the Penguins are 0 for 4. And 7:20 left. Ottawa back at full strength. Killed the penalty, now will try and push the attack for the equalizer. A icing call against Pittsburgh.
He hasn't had much to do in the third period, but Hammond makes another game saver. Watch Hornqvist's hips turn. As soon as he turns his hips to the right, he knows that the puck's not going to the net, and he goes over to make the stop. Mark Stone is a puck thief. There he is again with a steal on the boards. He drives it to the net, and he forces Fleury to hang on the post to make another shorthanded stop.
Did make a brief trip to the dressing room here in the third period. Jerry Townend, the athletic therapist, went down as well, so you connect the dots and think he was getting some attention. Lazar, Zibanejad, Condra back out in the corner. From the scrum, it's Condra trying a sharp angle backhand. Again, Fleury hugs the post. Puck gets past Wierkosh and into the Penguin bench.
To access your coupons for exclusive savings at participating Canadian Tire locations, visit OttawaSenators.com/SendSave.
Stone is going to get quite a reputation around the NHL for his hockey IQ, his positioning. Yes, his ability offensively, but it's the stuff he does away from the puck. His puck retrieval skills are just impressive for such a young player.
60th point of the year. Daniel Alfredsson, 61 points in his rookie season. But since 2015 began, you know where Mark Stone is in NHL scoring with the big boys.
That's a pretty good company that he's keeping there. What a terrific second half for Stone for this season. And since the 29th of December, he hasn't gone more than 2 games without a point.
Crowd revved up, 20,263 on Fan Appreciation Night. Paul Martin, Winnick, sends it around, there's Mathot. Plays it for MacArthur. Cody Ceci advances. Boy, he had some chances in the late stages against Toronto. Here's a chance in the backhand wide. MacArthur in front. Knocked away from the front of the net. As the Turris line forces the issue again. Turris keeps it in. Rolling puck. Shot blocked. And cleared out by Malkin. Back in a pass for Turris that doesn't work. Senators making changes. Malkin dumped at center. And no call. Ottawa gets away with one. Hoffman in. Shot. And stopped by Fleury. The rebound cleared. There's that Hoffman release that has been so lethal this year. Not as much as of late. Pajot off the boards. He'll play it back, and Wirkosh couldn't handle it at the left point. Feel another push here. Right after it. Pajot on the far side. Patrick Wirkosh looking for a redirect. Ryan knocked down. Ian Cole up the boards. Wirkosh trying to triumph. Malkin, and here's a break. Back the other way onto the backhand. A shot wide off the stick of Bo Bennett. Good dash by Bennett, who has scored in the game, but now Ottawa dancing back. It's Lazar. Followed up Carlson, and that one came up and hit the Penguin. And Nick Spaulding in some difficulty as play is stopped. 4:37 left in the third. Canadian Tire Senators Hockey on TSN is brought to you by Bell. Hockey just got better. By Molson Canadian, diehard fan and proud partner of the Ottawa Senators. And by Scotiabank, you're richer than you think. Scotiabank. Tense times here at the Canadian Tire Center, one-goal game. Shots now 36-28 in favor of the home side. 3-2 Pittsburgh as Winnick races after it against Erik Karlsson into the Ottawa zone. Gets on it. Swings it back for Crosby. Tied up there by Turris. Turris continues to battle along the boards. Back in for Crosby. Karlsson there. Good work by Winnick and Crosby to bottle up the Senators, but now Turris is out. Up ahead for Stone. Chips it in, and it rolls all the way to Fleury, and he'll hold on. Gives us a chance to check our game story. Brought to you by Molson Canadian. Well, Sidney Crosby got them off kilter early with that goal at the 10-second mark. A shorthanded goal by Jean-Gabriel Pajot gave Ottawa a boost. And Andrew Hammond, after the 3-0 Pittsburgh lead, has locked it down to give Ottawa a chance. Pajot wins the faceoff. Back to the line. Ceci sends it in behind the net. Ian Cole is hit. Lost it. Up with it. Shot for the side of the net. And Hoffman took another whack at it. Pajot, Hoffman, and Ryan. And now Pittsburgh plays it out. Kunitz swings it ahead for Malkin. Back for Kunitz at the line. That's offside as Malkin was a step or two ahead of the play.
So now you look for when the puck's in the middle of the ice. As soon as your team gets possession, you get a defenseman into the rush. You can't sell the farm because you still got a little bit of time, but if you can make a man advantage break by getting one of your D into the play, the Senators have to try it.
Shots are 14-3. Ottawa here in the third. Fleury around the boards. Lazar there. Reaching in. Condra got it. Knocked away from him. And Kunitz will stride out. Chips it past Karlsson. Lazar back to get it. Perron intercepts. There's David Perron tied up by Mathot. Knocked off the puck. Zibanejad arrives to help out. And now Karlsson will try and swing away from Malkin. Heading north, Condra. Pass got past Zibanejad. Lazar in front, and Fleury able to stop that. The pass was for Zibanejad, went all the way to Lazar, and a dangerous odd man rush for Ottawa ensued.
This becomes a dangerous play when Fleury goes for the poke check. It's going to slide up his stick there, and he's able to squeeze the puck to his body. Marc-Andre Fleury with the stop on a pass to the front of the net that turns into a dangerous play.
Turris and Crosby dueling all night. Face off one. Stone unable to get a good shot away on the bouncing puck. Turris on it again. Rounded by Crosby. On the backhand, Paul Martin. Knocked down by Turris. His centering attempt knocked down by Martin. Hornquist will roll it out, and there's Winnicott center after it. Ottawa gets it back. Wierkosh retreating to set it up, and Hornquist will head to the bench on a change. It's Wierkosh, the red line, and he gets it deep. 2:20 left. When do you take Hammond out, Ray?
30 seconds with possession, like in 30 seconds.
Puck sent down, and it will roll on edge, wide of the net. An icing call will give Dave Cameron a chance to think about it as Hammond checks the bench. 2:04 on the clock.
So the Senators have two centermen, well, three centermen at 49%, Legwand's at 46%.
And Ottawa's going to call its timeout.
Timeout Ottawa. On deck, that's Senator.
And with that, we've got time to check in with Brian Mudryk on that Detroit game.
Red Wings, they managed to hang on. Time ticking down against the Carolina Hurricanes. Detroit will win the hockey game 3-2. So if the Sens obviously lose this one, Detroit is in.
And if this score holds, Pittsburgh also is in.
Look at Clark MacArthur jumping in with the talk with Dave Cameron as they look for a face-off play to try to find the equalizer. The draw is over on the right side, so you've got two right-handed centermen in Zibanejad and Turris on that side. There's a couple of ways they can go. The way they're set up here, Chris, you got Carlson at the right point. If Turris can win the draw, Zibanejad will slide out for a one-timer, and you have MacArthur, the left-handed shot on the boards. Carlson will come to the middle. MacArthur will slide back towards the boards, and then you'll have three shooters at the very top. But the key is Turris' face-off win.
Net empty. Turris wins his 15th of 29 on the night, and now it's Hoffman. Now it's a power play. 6 attackers for Ottawa. Here comes the shot. And Fleury's got it. No rebound. With Martin Stone on the doorstep.
Well set up. Started with the face-off and the help. And then the puck gets to Carlson. So now they've got 3 chances to shoot it, whether it's Hoffman, Carlson, or Zibanejad. Fleury's able to look through the Mark Stone screen. Frees the puck. Now the puck goes to the other side of the ice, and Brandon Sutter will take the draw against Turris.
Sutter 50.6 on the year. Another win for Turris. A Hoffman shot scores! Game tied!
Chris, you were talking about this Hoffman release that has not been very effective of late. Just 2 goals in his last 15 games. But there's Kyle Turris with the win of the draw with the help from Zibanejad. The help is the key. It keeps the play alive. And Mike Hoffman whistles this over the glove of Marc-Andre Fleury. He's not going to get a good look at it as it goes past Kunitz, past Lovejoy, past Fleury. Down 3-0. The Senators have come all the way back and have kept their season alive if they can get this to overtime.
With the net empty, an extra attacker. They tie it. Still over a minute and a half to go in regulation. regulation time. Here comes Crosby trying to spoil the party. And he's checked from behind. In a perfect world, Senators not only would love to win it, but in regulation time here to put a little more pressure on Pittsburgh. Now it's Como inside the line. Zibanejad, Turris, straw assists at 18-12 on Hoffman's 27th of the season. Stone to an open wing, final minute of regulation time. Turris looking for MacArthur. Puck at center, Malkin. Pass cut off. There's Stone intercepting to the attack. And a poke check. Now batted by Turris into the corner. It'll be played by Martin. So play continues. Down that right side. A check. Too many men. Extra men on the ice. And Pittsburgh going to get called. Chris Rooney the call as the play went through the traffic in the change. And with 28.6 to go, it's an Ottawa power play.
The Penguins have been back on their heels all period. They're going for a change. Excellent play again by Mark Stone. He steals the puck in the middle of the ice. You see there's Penguins all over the ice. But that starts with Stone stealing the puck just inside the red line from Ben Lovejoy. And now the Senators have 29 seconds to try and win this in regulation.
Turris won a couple of key offensive zone face-offs to set up the Hoffman equalizer. Hunkering down here. Let's check that leg wad getting waved.
Turris had just been on the ice with MacArthur and Stone, so this is
Zibanejad now. From the draw, Pittsburgh control, and it's played out off Karlsson to center. Quickly back in, Zibanejad and Ryan. Bobby Ryan in low, turns back. Dozen seconds to go in regulation time. Ryan up high, shot, loose in front, leg one out of whack. Piercott's trying to center as he moved in. Dying seconds, one more shot, it's blocked. And we'll head to overtime, 1 point for Pittsburgh to 96. 1 point for Ottawa to 94.
What a stop by Marc-Andre Fleury to keep this game at 3-3. Ryan shots deflected. He gets the right pad out to make the save. And overtime it is. The Senators' season was on the brink. The Hoffman goal keeps them alive, and now they'll chase that extra point.
The shots in the third period, 18 for the Senators, 3 for the Penguins, 3-3 headed to OT. Mike Hoffman at 18-12 tied it. Remember, it was 3-0, and we talked about a few key saves by Andrew Hammond.
He kept the game at 3-0, a couple of terrific stops. This one on Malkin in particular. And then in the third period, he gets a little luck. Chorney's shot rings off the cross or off the goal post. But Mark Stone made it 3-2 early. Turris and Zibanejad team up for Mike Hoffman's wrister inside of 2 minutes. And the Senators go to a 4-on-3 power play to begin overtime.
First in 8 games for Hoffman. Second of the year against Pittsburgh. And now the critical second point at stake. Ottawa 6-6 in overtime in the 5-minute sudden death portion. Penguins 6-5, and here they come. Into the zone. Kyle Turris drops his stick. Stone in to help out. Back for Karlsson. Zibanejad, the fourth member of this power play. Turris, Stone is parked in front. Turris an overtime hero. This is the 5th consecutive overtime game for Ottawa. That's a franchise high. Zibanejad shot. And a leg in front. Going after his own rebound. And LaPierre wins the battle and gets it out.
And Rob Scuderi battling in front of the net with Mark Stone.
Erik Karlsson's got Turris loose on the right wing. Back for Karlsson. Zibanejad, Turris. Tracked by Winnick. Turris moves in. And then had it knocked off his stick. A chance for Winnick to clear. And it's off the glove of Carlson and out. And down to 20 seconds remaining. And the penalty being served by Bo Bennett. Carlson knocked off his stick to Ryan. It's Zibanejad in. Across and a knocked off Carlson. All alone with an open net. Now a one-timer off the glove. Fleury with the glove stop, and it's cleared. That's going to do it. Bennett returns, and Pittsburgh kills the penalty. 2 shots. Here comes Hoffman with speed, with the shot, and Fleury just closes it down.
Oh, Hoffman's feeling it after the tying goal late in the third. Chance earlier, Zibanejad walking in off the turnover. He goes across, it deflects off of the stick of Carlson, who probably didn't get a good look at it until late, and then Fleury's going to stop Hoffman twice. Once on the one-timer, and then off this slick wrister. Marc-Andre Fleury with 40 saves tonight.
Pajot wins the draw. Ceci hit the linesman. Pajot after against Crosby. Won the race, gets it deep. Cut off there by Paul Martin. And Martin will scoop it out. Hornquist trying to skate onto it. Bouncing puck, and Weirkosh got back in a hurry. Now MacArthur into the skates of Ceci. He'll send it in wide. Fleury knocked it away from the on-charging MacArthur. Into the corner, they take it away from Ian Cole. Get it to Ceci. Shot, that hit the traffic in front. Ian Cole on it again. Tied up momentarily by MacArthur, who now peels off on a change. Lead feed ahead, and Crosby knocked off the puck.
Off the bench was Carlson. Broke up the play, now he's in the rush.
Takes the drop. Carlson across. Stone! Score! Mark Stone again!
This is unbelievable that they've done it again. Down 3-0 in the first. Down to their last strike with the goalie out. Hoffman ties the game. Watch the play by Carlson. He comes off the bench to break up the breakaway pass to Sidney Crosby. But he doesn't stay there. He jumps back into the play, takes the Turris feet, and finds Mark Stone, who takes the pass out of his feet and buries the game winner. And the Senators are alive still.
The remarkable run still has some legs left. And the Calder Trophy credentials get better by the game for Mark Stone. Fan appreciation night in Ottawa. And it's a different twist because it's the fans showing their appreciation for what they have seen in this remarkable stretch drive. Game back from 3 down December 7th against Vancouver to win in overtime. They do it again here tonight. Let's check. Our Molson Canadian 3 stars scored a big one in the third period, even bigger in overtime. Mark Stone, first star. Marc-Andre Fleury was sensational tonight. And Jean-Gabriel Pajot started the comeback with that shorthanded goal. What a remarkable night. And they still have life with 2 games to go after their 41st win of the year. Now up to 95 points and headed to play the Rangers in New York on Thursday night. They'll finish Saturday afternoon in Philly, and that might be for the playoff spot. Hope you enjoyed it. A remarkable comeback here in Ottawa tonight.